Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in once again, and if you're new here, hi, I'm Stacy. I am a paramedic, and today I'm going to be answering one of your questions, and it's actually one that I really relate to on my own EMS journey. So if you have any further questions or suggestions for the channel, as always, you can comment them down below or shoot me a message. If you are new to this channel and you like all things EMS, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button, and while you're down there, hit the little notification bell, and this will just notify you when I post a new video. Alright, so jumping into the actual question, do you suggest wasting no time and going straight through paramedic school? My state does not recognize AEMT as a level, and I would really like to start with paramedic school immediately after I finish my EMT basic, but I hear so many negative things about it from my friends in EMS. This is such a good question, and one that I've gotten more than once. So first, let's start off with some negatives about going straight from basic to paramedic school without gaining any experience or very little experience. If you go straight into paramedic school from EMT basic without any experience, you're at a definite disadvantage. And I'm not even gonna lie to you about that. And this is because you don't have time to master super basic things that we do every day on the ambulance, like just talking to the patient, getting a blood sugar, administering medications, things like that that seem so easy, but if you're not doing them on the daily, you haven't mastered them yet. And I don't know which state the person who sent this question to me is from, but in most states, EMT basics cannot start IVs. So not only are you making the big jump in paramedic school with cardiology and pharmacology, but you're also taking a big jump with your skill set. And if you haven't been on the ambulance for any amount of time to observe the people who do have a higher license and the way that they do their skills, you're obviously going to be at a disadvantage in comparison to those who have. Another issue that you could run into going straight from basic to paramedic is your confidence level or your lack thereof. As you work on the ambulance daily, you begin to gain confidence in your skill set and just in the job and everything that it encompasses. And as a leader on the ambulance, confidence is an absolute must. If you don't have time to cultivate this confidence, it could make that transition extremely difficult. Another con or issue that you may face is criticism. And let me just tell you right now, criticism is something that you'll face a lot in EMS, so you better just get used to it. Someone always has something to say. They would have done this different, or they would have done that different. They would have gone code 1 rather than code 3. They would have given lidocaine over amiodarone. They worked 5 years at the EMT basic level before they went into paramedic school, and it worked well for them, so that should just be the standard for everybody else. It's so silly, I know, but honestly, it's a reality that you will face if you go from EMT basic straight into paramedic school. I know these negatives are making you reevaluate things, but I want you to hang in there with me throughout this entire video because I am gonna shed some positive light on it too. And the last con that I have for you is struggling with the amount of material that you have to learn. Medic school is difficult as it is already. It's a lot of information in a short amount of time, but when you throw that in with zero experience and barely learning your current level, you can definitely expect some difficulties. All right, now that we've gone into several reasons of why it could be hard, let's look at the positives or the pros. So let's start off with the obvious. If you go all the way through, then you knock it out all at once, and it gives you very little time to get lazy or complacent with where you are in EMS. And what I mean by that is if you say, you know what, I'm gonna take 2 or 3 years and learn how to be a really good EMT basic, there's nothing wrong with that, but chances are you will grow complacent in your position, and sometimes people won't want to advance after that, or maybe something will happen in their life where they're like, I just don't have the time to do that. So if you go all the way through, your brain stays learning and studying, or at least it should, because you haven't taken that time off. Another positive thing about it is that you don't pick up the shortcuts and the tricks that you learn on the ambulance, because as we know, they're not always the proper way of doing it or the way the book teaches us to do it. And whether we like to admit it or not, pretty much everybody in EMS can agree that the way that the book teaches us to do it a lot of times just isn't realistic, or we learn these shortcuts and these tricks that for testing purposes wouldn't fly. It's really similar to English class. Like, we learn about grammar, the proper way to speak, the proper way to write, but that doesn't mean that in real life we use it. We probably probably should, but we don't. And this is one that I personally remember people talking about when I was in medic school. I was always really self-conscious about not having a ton of experience. My camera died. I'm not really sure where it cut you off, but I was basically just saying that I remember people in my medic class saying that they wished that maybe they had gone straight through, because then they wouldn't have had all that time to pick up bad habits. Whether you agree with that or not, that's one of the things that they used to say. I know for a fact that a lot of them struggled with, they had seen skills done a certain way or learned how to do skills a certain way, and whenever it came to testing purposes, it just wasn't the correct way. And another reason that somebody may go straight through is time is an issue. And time could be an issue for a lot of reasons. It could be an issue because your employer is requiring it of you. It could be an issue because you're using it as a stepping stone to your next stage of life of what you want to do or what you want to become. Or it could be like in my case, where I was a little bit older when I went into EMS and I had plans with my husband of starting a family, and so I didn't want to, I guess, waste time. I didn't want to go through medic school pregnant or with a child and have that extra stress. So time was definitely an issue for me, and it could be an issue for you. I know there are people that use paramedicine as a stepping stone to their RN and ultimately their nurse prac, or maybe even medical school, or they may use it as a stepping stone to become a physician's assistant. There's lots of reasons that people want to go straight through and not waste time or gain experience at the level that they're at. Honestly, I don't think there's a set and correct way of going into EMS or how fast it should be accomplished. Personally, I went straight through. It made things very difficult, and I had to work extra hard in school. Like I mentioned, I didn't start working on the ambulance until my second half of paramedic school, but when I was doing clinicals and internship, I always did extra. I always rode on the ambulance extra. I hardly ever did shifts in the ER because I knew I wanted to be on the ambulance, and I knew I needed all the practice in the world, and I needed to see what it was like. So I put in tons and tons of extra hours doing clinicals. I put in 2 or 3 extra weeks on my internship just so that I could feel somewhat prepared to go out into the field. You're never really fully prepared, but if you want this bad enough and you're driven enough, I think that somebody can go straight through and eventually be good at their job. The main thing is, are you going in for the right reasons? Do you want to help people? Are you compassionate? Because if you don't care about people, this is not the career for you. Going into it fast or going into it slow, regardless, you should not be in this field if you want it for the glory or you don't care to truly help people. Anyway guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you tune in next week. I have 3 or 4 videos already set up for you. If you liked this video and you want to see more like it, let me know by hitting the like button down below and sharing this video with all those you know who are interested in EMS. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.